Welcome in. It's the Scotsman, episode 2. I'm Brian Preece. Tanner Tripp returning on the other side, running the ones and twos, the dials, as it were. We've got a great show ahead of us today. Bronco Mendenhall made some recent comments. Really just got into his unwavering expectations. I think people in Utah, BYU fans, are more than familiar with that. But he's a walking inspirational quote, as I've been listening to Bronco Mendenhall this season. So we will talk a lot about the Week 1 press conference with the Aggies. We will dive into one of the Aggies' apparent 2025 uniform decisions, which has created quite the stir of controversy between the two of us. And then we'll take a brief look at Utah State's Week 1 opponent and the UTEP Miners. But Tanner, you wanted to start us out. You had a little question you've set aside for me.
Most importantly, it's game week.
Oh boy.
We're here.
I'm so excited. I am so excited.
This leads me into my question. This is the most excited you have been about a Utah State football season in blank years.
Ooh, I think excited is the wrong word. Anticipation is what I'm feeling.
Because you're always excited.
Yeah. I mean, you're always excited for football season to start. You know, August, September. It's just that time of year, and you're like, ooh, you're pinching yourself every morning when you wake up. But last weekend in week 0, it's like, we're going to have football every weekend until February. What a time to be alive. But, for me, I think excitement's the wrong word. If you wanted to talk excitement, probably go back to Blake Anderson's second year after they came in and won the Mountain West Championship for the first time as a program under Logan Bonner. That was excitement going into the next season. Obviously, we know how that turned out. It wasn't what Aggie fans were looking for, but for me, it's the anticipation of not so much what they're going to be this year. It's not in college sports. You're never a finished product. From season, you're just never ever. You're always growing and evolving, and that's kind of Bronco Mendenhall's entire mantra, is that he is evolving and growing and trying to help these players become better people and better football players. And, you know, one of his focuses in the press conference this week was, we're not even as worried about our opponent as we are about ourselves. And so I have a sense of anticipation about what Bronco and his influence is going to have on this program. They're still going to be, probably in terms of depth, a relatively shallow team. But I don't know if there's been a better prepared Utah State team in my lifetime. Yeah, and obviously that's projection a little bit because we haven't seen them play. But just the things that you're hearing coming out of camp, the way that the players are talking about this team, it feels different, and it feels like something that is sustainable, where with Utah State, we haven't had sustainable pretty much my entire lifetime. Yeah. If that answers your question.
We're seeing that not unsustainable, but like chaotic nature. I feel like Utah State is a microcosm of the chaotic nature of college sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Like across the board. The AD and school president that hired Bronco are no longer there. What was it, 3 new head basketball coaches in 4 years, and they went to the tournament every year. And now a new era of college football with Bronco Mendenhall. Like, I think Utah State fans are used to it by now. But
yeah, it's a thrilling time to be an Aggie fan. I listened to our podcast from last week. I said exciting a lot. So I'm trying not to say exciting nearly as much, but it's kind of exciting.
More adjectives, different adjectives.
Yeah, I need to open up my thesaurus, but it's gonna be a fun season that I'm looking forward to. There's a lot of unanswered questions, and when you look at Bronco Mendenhall's teams as he took over Virginia in his first year, New Mexico in the first year. New Mexico, I believe, lost their first 4 games last season, and then finished the year 5-7. So I don't know if we should expect Utah State to come out of the gates and be a fully functioning, finished product, but I do expect this team to make visible, tangible progress week after week throughout the year.
I think that is one thing that fans need to understand, and that personally, I need to take a step back and understand that this is a project. Like,
That's the hard part because we're so focused on one season and 1 week, one game.
Not to use the word excitement again.
You can do it. I'm not allowed.
Of course I'm excited to see Bronco Mendenhall's first game as head coach of the Utah State Aggies. But could they lose? They very well could lose. Is that a huge problem? No. Because this is a multi-year project where hopefully year 3 or 4 of the Pac-12 you're competing for conference championships. This year doesn't hold much water for me. Like it could be rough at times, and it'll be hard to watch in the moment. But hopefully, like you said, they're making steps each week to where you can see that progress.
Yeah, as we shift and start talking about Bronco and some of the things he said in this week's press conference, I get a feeling of genuineness. When you're talking college sports, when you're talking professional sports, there's a lot of lip service. There's a lot of, in the baseball world, they call it eyewash. We're just doing things to say we did it. It's coach talk. It's coach speak. You're very prepared in those things. But when I hear Bronco Mendenhall talk, when I hear Bryson Barnes talk about the upcoming season and how much he enjoys this coaching staff, it seems very genuine. And I think that's one thing, if we know nothing else about Bronco Mendenhall, is he is, at face value, the person that he presents himself as. Yeah. His expectations are not eyewash. They're not made up. He's very serious. Yep. He has deep philosophical reasoning behind everything that he does with the program. And there's just a level of, like I said, genuineness. And that is what kind of gives me the hope about this program being able to build for the future. There's guys in the past, we've seen it with college basketball coaches, not calling out Danny Sprinkle and saying he did anything wrong, but he comes in from Montana State, coaches 1 year, leads the team to the NCAA tournament, has a great season, and jump ship to go to a bigger school in Washington. Yeah. That's what it is. That's what college sports is. That's what the competitive working world is that you are trying to put yourself in the best position to find the best spot for you next. And I don't feel like that's what Bronco is doing. I don't know. It's hard to speculate on this, but I don't see Bronco leaving Utah State and necessarily coaching again. I think this may be an end road for Bronco Mendenhall in his coaching career, and I can easily see him in Logan for the next decade and building this program into something similar to Boise State. I mean, is that too much?
Well, I think they got Bronco at a very unique time in his career. Yeah. Where he's already had a very storied career starting 2 decades ago, and he was out of college football. Yep. And I don't know if he had any plans of coming back, but New Mexico pulled him back in, and it's like you're fasting, and you get a taste of that food again for the first time.
Red meat.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm back, I'm here. I think that's what Bronco got when he went to New Mexico, and he gave that program some of the best football they've seen in a really long time. They beat a top 25 opponent, and now getting him back, it's almost like an encore to his previous career.
Exactly. It's a bookend.
Yeah.
Utah native, starts his head coaching career at BYU, and now maybe you end it at Utah State.
Well, and when you say build it like Boise State, I think it's different because Boise State, for a guy like Spencer Danielson, who's there right now, he's a young head coach in college football. I think he's hoping to get a trampoline jump, kind of like Pete DeBoer did at Washington, where an opening at Alabama or an SEC school, Big Ten school opens up, and you've shown well in the playoff, and you can move on. If Bronco wins a conference championship, I think his attitude, like you said, is going to be, let's win another here at Utah State. Yep. And he's going to mean it. He's already been a Power 5 coach in multiple spots. I don't think he needs that again. I think, like you said, I could see him staying here until the day he retires.
Well, I think the main reason I believe that to be a strong possibility is because when you hear Bronco talk about this Utah State team and what he is trying to instill with this program, he is rarely ever mentioning football. in any way, shape, or form. He's talking about character. He's talking about building young men. He's talking about building this program into something that Cache Valley can be proud of. And I think we see that. Last week we talked about it in the Ike Larson suspension. We speculated on the reasoning, and Bronco made it clear in the press conference on Monday, the reason for the suspension doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we grow from it. I really liked this quote that he gave in respect to that suspension of Ike Larson. He says, accountability is necessary for growth. There's been plenty of players through my time at both BYU and Virginia that the accountability part ended up being the reason they ended up accelerating not only their career, but their lives. He says it's something that he knows it's a difficult thing, but when you face these things head on instead of avoiding the issues, you build a stronger program, and you solidify those expectations so that day in and day out, everybody comes to work knowing exactly what is expected of them and how to achieve what is being asked of them. And
this quote obviously implies, and we've seen it throughout his career, that this is not new to him or the programs he's been at. I think it's tough when it's the leader of your defense. It's a very recognizable player. But some of this turbulence is going to happen when you're coming into a program that maybe hasn't been run the best over like the near past. There are going to be some issues to resolve and to take care of. I think that's kind of the main thing with this one. Bronco's like, this isn't new. It's just happening to a guy that everybody knows right now.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So, but like he said, there's a large sample size of guys that he has disciplined, and it's helped them. So I think we can give him the benefit of the doubt, trust him that the same thing will happen with Ike.
It's 3 days away.
Yeah.
Crazy. Utah State actually just announced like an hour before we recorded they are going to be adding some blue ribbons onto the back of their helmets this season, honoring the fallen Tremonton Garland police officers Lee Sorensen and Eric Estrada. The pair was tragically killed last week responding to a domestic violence call. And Utah State has stepped up. Estrada was a big part of the Cache Valley community, coaching with some youth soccer teams. And they'll be honoring that pair all season long with that blue ribbon. I think it's a neat gesture when teams and programs are able to do that and show that they're not only playing in front of the community, they're playing for the community.
And it's not something that they needed or anyone expected them to do.
No.
You do a social media post honoring fallen officers and people are going to like it and say that, this is great. But I think one of the identities of this Utah State team under Bronco, he said it in Utah State Media Day, is they want the community to be a part of this team.
Yep.
And they want this team to belong to the community. He talked about how big a part that was in the rebuilds that he's done is watching a community rally around a team. And I think this is exactly the kind of thing that you need in order to do that. I think it's really cool, and I look forward to seeing that on the back of their helmets.
Well, let's shift gears real quick. Let's talk about the UTEP Miners coming in out of Conference USA. Last year, this is a team that went 3-9. They've changed defensive coordinators, same head coach, and offensive coordinator returning. So offensively, if we're taking their tape from last year, this is a team that likes to spread you out. They like to get up and down the field in their passing game. And interestingly, I don't know how many people will recognize the name Malachi Nelson. 2022, I believe, he was a unanimous 5-star recruit. ESPN had him as the #1 recruit in the country. Chose USC, transferred to Boise State, and then left Boise State after spring practices, I believe, and went to UTEP. So Nelson, he's, like I said, 3 years removed from being the #1 recruit in the country. He will be making his first college start on Saturday against Utah State in Logan. But this is a kid with all the measurables.
Yeah.
And what do you expect from UTEP when they come into Logan?
Well, and what I'll say is no one is ever the #1 recruit in the country for no reason.
It's not an accident. No.
You have a sample size as big as you do in high school, and you're the #1 recruit out of however many recruits are in the country, you're good. And I think it's a byproduct of what's been happening with NIL money in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Is if you don't make a mark quickly with the team you get recruited by, you get lost in the pile. With teams that want to compete for national championships, like obviously USC does, they bring in grad transfers and fifth-year seniors from the transfer portal to fill in spots that they lose during the offseason. And Malachi Nelson, like, he's not the first person that this has happened to, where for them it feels like they have to take a step down in order to prove themselves. But if he proves himself with a prolific offensive year at UTEP, you get offers in the offseason from teams like LSU or UCLA. Like, that is the new...
Well, let me throw a name at you. Cam Ward.
Yeah. Or, like, I was going to say Jalen Hurts, but he played at Bama.
Yeah, he was at Bama the whole time. Well, Michael Penix started his career at Indiana, put up a couple good seasons, had some injuries, transferred to Washington, and became a top 10 pick.
I mean, this isn't college football, but this is a name around here now. Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah.
The Jazz first-round pick. He started at Iona. Walt Lake City, baby. Sorry.
I would get upset by the Jazz. Come on now.
Yeah. But, you see it now where sometimes you got to go prove yourself.
Yeah, so this is going to be a good test. I mean, you know that Malachi Nelson has the tools. He has the ability to carry a football team. It's just going to be a matter of what else does UTEP have in terms of weapons. How is Utah State's defense going to come together? As I said earlier in the show, I think that depth is probably going to be a concern for this Utah State team. But as long as they can avoid the major injuries to their premier starters, Bryson Barnes is going to be critical this year. Gabe Aniquez in the middle of that defensive line. On the back end, Noah Avenger, Ike Larson when he returns from that suspension. There's a bunch of linebackers that are vying for. Bronson Olivao Jr. is a guy who, if he misses time, but as long as Utah State can keep some of these guys healthy, I can't kick the feeling that they are going to get better every single week this year. And they're going to be a completely different team in late November when Boise State comes to Logan than they are right now as we talk on August 27th.
As far as what I expect from Utah State UTEP on Saturday, I think it could look a lot like what we saw in Week 0 from games like Hawaii, Stanford, or even Kansas State, Iowa State, where it's just sloppy slugfest, 40 total points, someone wins on a game-winning field goal or a turnover in the fourth quarter. It's hard. We've talked about it. It's hard to preview teams that you don't know much about. But what I do know is that it's going to be new look for both of these teams. There's going to be some growing pains that we watch live on the field, and it could be down and dirty, and it comes down to who wants it more in that last possession. So hopefully Broncos coaching them up in this offseason to be able to go and get a game like that.
Yeah, I think Utah State's going to be prepared, and if a game comes down to a 2-minute drill or needing a late stop, I think they're going to be coached up and prepared to take on that moment. That doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but they're going to be prepared. They won't be lost like we've seen from Aggie teams in seasons past. Do you want to share a prediction? I'm putting you on the spot.
I think Utah State wins. I think it's going to be close. Like, I think I could see Utah State winning like 28-21, 28-24, like a close game like that.
I'm gonna go Utah State 23-13.
Okay.
23. I'm with you. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the odds of it being pretty ugly are high. It's Group of 5 college football in Week 1.
And this is what I like, is 2 Group of 5 teams facing off in Week 1 of college football. Instead of bringing in an FCS team, and obviously Utah State's going to go get their bye game, but in Week 1, I kind of want to see the slugfest. It's like football is back, baby, in its purest form. Go slug it out. Go get your jerseys dirty. I'm just hyped for it.
It's going to be so much fun. That's going to do it for the second episode of the newest installment of The Scotsman. I'm Brian Preece. You can find my work on KSLSports.com. I have been burning up the keyboard this week. I've published 17 stories already in about 15 hours on the clock. Well, no, not 20 hours on the clock.
Everyone go leave comments on Brian's posts.
It's been a good time. A lot of really good Utah State content, Utah content, BYU content, Utah Mammoth and Utah Jazz are kicking up. Seasons are getting ready to start. As we get into the fall, it's going to be really fun. We've got a lot on tap at KSLSports.com. And Tanner, where can I find your work and the Scotsman?
Yeah, go follow KSL Sports across socials, Instagram, YouTube, X, Facebook. All of our video content is going to be there. And then to find the Scotsman, KSL Sports YouTube under the podcast tab, and then KSL Sports app, KSLSports.com, and Spotify and all those other places you find podcasts.
Aggies and Miners, 5:30 kickoff Saturday night at Merlin Olsen Field at Maverick Stadium. You got to get the whole thing in there.
You got it.
All right, go Aggies.
Go Aggies.